Hi, Linda. Welcome to the show today.
Isadora, Annie, it's a pleasure to be with you today. Jen is a hard act to follow. I loved her passion, and I want to introduce her to my sister, Paula Mosier Wallace, who is actually in the dark, and it's about victims becoming ex-victims. And so I'm very much in attunement with what she had to say, and very much something that we all need to hear and internalize. So yeah, it's been wonderful so far connecting with this event, and thank you guys for doing such a lovely job hosting it.
Thank you for being here. Wonderful. Then, Linda, the next 45 minutes is all yours, and we're looking forward to your session.
Wonderful. I'm happy to be here, and I'm hoping that I make the slide deck work like it's supposed to. So
we can see your screen perfectly fine.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, pleasure to be here with all of you today. And, rising above adversity is something that we all have times in our lives where we do that. And it's an interesting time in life for me. I actually moved out of the greater Atlanta area when COVID was an impending situation. And fortunately, with having members of the chamber internationally, we were getting insights into what was going on, and were able to make a choice about where we might be spending time under lockdown. And so we ended up in a more country setting instead of inside the Beltway in Atlanta, which is, if you know Atlanta, it's kind of a concrete jungle a bit. And so been very thankful that we had that international connectivity, and we're being, able to make a choice to do something differently, to diversify our location. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today, how key diversification is and how it will determine your destiny. And it's a big topic. It has a lot of pieces to it. And I'm going to see if I can get this going. Obviously, you know that I'm leading the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce, so I'll skip that. Just wanted to be thankful for being part of these phenomenal group of women that are here sharing today. And I have been very proactive about supporting the growth of young women in their pursuit of engaging with technology. And this young lady actually won the event that we did. It was a mind-blowing opportunity to see brilliant children, many of them Indian, that were focusing on the topic of blockchain and cryptocurrency as part of a debate topic. And so, them giving speeches and debating around an emerging technology and growing their interest in it was just a really fun thing. And it's something that we focus on at the chamber. And so being part of this event and being able to speak to women in technology just brings me joy. So it's when you're talking about diversification, if you look at this group, there's a gentleman that has his roots in India, there's a gentleman from the Hmong people, Abraham Siong there on the right of your screen, and Adam, Pam, they're actually brother and sister. They're core team members at the chamber. And if you don't recognize the gentleman in the middle, he's Ambassador Andrew Young. And just a brilliant gentleman, actually brought the Olympics to Atlanta in 2008, was it? And I'm going to mess that up, but no, 1996. Gosh, yeah, it was 1996. Time flies, right? Anyway, he's a phenomenal gentleman, and he actually approached the chamber asking about blockchain. And the reason I have this picture up is because it speaks to diversity. It speaks to diversification of people in your life. And if we all looked the same in this picture, I don't think I would feel the same about this picture. If everyone was, just sameness just isn't diverse. And I love that everyone at that table, we actually had a lovely lunch with the ambassador, had something that they brought that was a different perspective, because they were coming from different places. They were coming from different experience bases. And when we're talking about diversification, a lot of people just think about, is my portfolio diversified, right? Do I have the right percentage of stocks or bonds or, property, gold, silver? They think about just stuff. And when I think about diversification, I think about community and the people that I'm connected to and what that brings into my life. And we've seen, unfortunately, tensions between different ethnicities globally. And it obviously began very strongly in the United States. And we saw rioting in the streets of Atlanta. We have seen the pain that has been caused by hundreds of years of pain points. And its history is hopefully something that teaches us a lesson and not something that we continue repeating. And I love the Chamber because it's one of the most naturally diverse organizations I've ever participated in. And I'm just thankful that the role that I have there and the collaborative connectivity that we have just allows me to have conversations with people from very diverse ethnicities about what their pain points are, what's the challenge, how do they feel when this happens, and be open and honest. Create those moments where we can be truly human together. And I think that's so important, to see ethnicity as an important part of how we connect and really create a different way of doing life. If you've just been hanging out with people that look just like you, change that, right? You're missing out on a whole beautiful part of the world that you may never know if you don't intentionally choose to move your comfort zone into a different ethnic group, into people with different traditions, possibly even different religions than you have, or religious connections. It's a way that we could and should diversify so that we can, as people, as humans, move forward in unity and collaborative connectivity, because code doesn't see color. That's the beautiful thing about it. That's one of the things I love about blockchain, is it doesn't see color. And there's beautiful diversity to be seen. There's culture differences. There's so many nuances of life that we miss if we don't intentionally seek to connect with people who don't look like us, who don't sound like us, sometimes who don't even smell like us. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. And, as you're thinking about diversification, it's not just that, people look different. It's what can they do? What skill sets do they have? Are you surrounding yourself with people that can do things that you don't know how to do or that you don't have a strong skill set in? That's really, really important. And I believe it's becoming more important as we see different supply chain breakdowns and different pain points internationally with travel. Obviously, COVID has been a very impactful aspect of that. And we're seeing shifts in the way trade is done, in the way travel is taken. And we're going to need to grow more competent in our own local spaces, so that if there are breakdowns, there are still the opportunities, the benefits, the conveniences of life that we would like. So if it's just you, right, and you don't know how to fix and the light goes out, do you know an electrician that is nearby that could drive over? If you have a food shortage, I don't know how many of you were going to the grocery store and just seeing, vast expanses of nothingness. I went to one major grocery store here, and it was, I literally only saw cow tongue and cow cheeks in the bin. And everything else was empty. So when it came to any kind of red meat, that's what I was looking at. And I was like, wow, I'm so thankful that I know someone who raised cows. And, I was actually able to put in a bid to have one of their cows butchered out for my family. that's something that, had I not known them, had I not diversified who I knew, that opportunity wouldn't have even been open to me. And it's stuff like that that kind of wakes you up, right? It's like, if I had to feed my family, if there wasn't food in the grocery store, would I be able to? And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But you see all kinds of different people here, the doctors, people that are painters, mechanics, police officers, electricians, paramedics, even construction workers and reporters and pilots. We need each other. We need each other's skill sets, and we need to be intentional about connecting ourselves with people that have skill sets that we don't have, and upskilling ourselves as well. Do you know how to sew? What happens, if it's not so convenient to just, buy a cheap shirt at, let's think of some of the places that are going out of business right now, the ones that are on the edge, the Macy's, there's no guarantees about what is going to be conveniently available to us in the future. And I know this doesn't sound much like a talk that you would get from somebody who's leading the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce, but the reality is you can't eat blockchain. We're all human first, and as humans, we have basic needs. And being aware that your diversification is in great part not just where your money is, but where you can get sustainable food resources. That's just something to have as an awareness factor, and intentionally choose to do things differently. If you aren't already, engaging with people that are farmers, or learning to container farm yourself, those types of things could determine your destiny. And I know that sounds, a little macabre, it's like, oh, there's always going to be food in the grocery store. But the reason diversification exists is because unexpected things happen. And we need to have that awareness and be building towards being prepared. And, I've talked a little bit about the people in our lives and how we can diversify in relation to ethnicity, religion, skill sets. And now I'm going to talk about places. Have you diversified in the places where you're welcome, where you have a legal right to be? This is a picture of my two kids and my husband at the Panama Canal. And that's been one of our diversifications. It's important just to know that there is a place where you feel comfortable and competent, and that you legally have the right to reside, so that you're not dependent on any specific location or even country, to feel that is your only place that you can comfortably exist. And so Español is mi primera lengua. So I was originally made in Peru. And so being in a place like Panama where they speak Spanish is something that I feel comfortable with. And my children love it. They love the food. They love the people. And, it's just a great way to diversify and to be prepared for the unknown. And the fear of the unknown is truly only there if you don't feel educated and prepared to manage it. So I love diversity in location. So this is me. I don't know if anybody recognizes that skyline. It was taken not this last year. I was hoping to return, but the year before. And there's a place where the I hate to say elite, but the global elite meet, and happens on an annual basis. And, you have to be comfortable in whatever setting you find yourself in, whether it's those kind of high end or low end spaces. And I think that's something that many people, they find a comfort zone. And those people and that way of talking and that way of doing business is the only thing that they're comfortable with. And, I look at this picture and, think of the people that I met on that trip and, realize that I find as much joy in the contact points and, the connections that I had there as I've had in a little hut in Colombia. And, talking to the kids that are learning their letters, literally scratching them into the dirt of their schoolroom floor. And, that type of diversification, feeling comfortable in multiple settings, that knowing how to abase and how to abound, is something that I think is an important part of diversification. And if you haven't put yourself out of your comfort zone, pick a place that you don't feel comfortable. Make sure you stay safe, but put yourself in what would be an uncomfortable situation for you, in a location where you've never really hung out before with people. And whether it's going to the high end or the low end, it could be different for everybody, where you feel comfortable. But that's another important aspect of diversification. You need to build your comfort level in the abasing and abounding side of things. And to that end, you could have a fancy Beamer, but you might also want to have a beater. We've seen in recent times with the rioting that you may be more targeted if it looks like you're wealthy, and to get through a location that is having unrest. Something like this could be what saves your life. And it's, just thinking about it. I'm not saying go out and, buy something that looks this bad, but be aware that there may be times where diversification just in what you drive might be a game changer, maybe a lifesaver. And so I'm just wanting to build awareness, not fear, but awareness that you can proactively choose to do things that prepare you in what is currently a very, very uncertain future. And I told you would come back to the vegetables, and I want to make a big point about food sustainability. And many people think that tomatoes just come from grocery stores, and they literally grow on bushes, and they don't like too much sun. And if you water them too much, the tomatoes split. And if you want to save the seeds from the tomatoes, you need to soak them, let them ferment a little bit, and let that sheath that's around them, that little kind of gelatinous sheath, ferment off, because that sheath is actually a seed growth retardant. So if you try to plant it the next spring and that sheath is dried on it, it will actually retard the growth of the tomato. So stuff like that, understanding the difference between GMO and non-GMO and what can grow where you live, that's just a kind of an insurance, an awareness of that, a desire to understand it, to connect with people who maybe do have a green thumb, who have been growing things in your area for a while, and just get your hands a little dirty. Understand where your food comes from and what you might be able to do in the future, if you need to grow it yourself. That's something that I just feel is so vital to build the awareness around, that our food is one of our basic needs. And if you don't diversify so that you're prepared to meet your basic needs, then all the money in the bank, all the gold in the world doesn't feed you. So just take it seriously. And the reason I've been taking it seriously is because I feel so connected. I picked this picture because I have it attached to an article that I wrote on LinkedIn. So I'd love to have you guys connect with me on LinkedIn and check it out. It's just, we are so connected. And it talks about the connectivity on a galactic scale, right? We actually are in a universal way connected. The spheres that rotate in the entire universe, they have found that there is connectivity between them, between galaxies. And I can only imagine if those billions of miles are connected, then how can we as human beings that share DNA, how can we not be connected? And it's something to absorb and understand. And the more people that really grasp how connected we are, the more positive energy we'll have together, and the more likely we are to get through challenge points like we're currently in a much better way. And I do believe that we're entering into the fourth industrial revolution. And I'm going to wrap up today sharing with you some of the technology stack that I believe will help empower that. But just taking a minute and sitting in the awareness that you and I are connected. Just the fact that you've heard my voice, that I've shared thoughts with you, that maybe you've looked into my eyes and you feel somehow that your life is going to be different because of it. That's the connectedness, right? And if you change even one little thing, then from across the world, wherever you are, whether you're in the United States, India, the UK, Australia, it doesn't matter where you are, Africa, you could be in Peru, my place where I first grew up, and, the home of Machu Picchu and Huayna Picchu, and just beautiful places and food and people. We're so connected. So I know that sometimes the fear of the unknown is what keeps us from engaging with people that we don't feel we fully understand yet. And I think we need to replace that fear, and we need to replace it with curiosity. And then we need to replace it with knowledge and then action. And I was going to put up a little video clip, but I didn't get it attached in time. Just a quick personal aside. If you see me sweating, I hope I'm breaking the fever of 102.7, I think it was, that I had before I started talking with you today. The last almost 2 weeks have been a really challenging health time for me, but I felt it was really important to connect with you today and to share some of these insights, because it's so important. The more people that get it, that make their life different and are more adaptable and can adjust to change and are more connected to the people in their lives that are diverse, the better we all are. And so it's just an absolute pleasure to be taking this time with you today. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just glistening on the screen, but it's a good thing to have a fever break. So I'm going to head into, obviously, the blockchain ecosystem. And this is a shift away from diversification, except for it really highlights how we can diversify when it comes to our social media engagement. And I'm sure you've all seen, the different aspects of news, with Facebook and how they use your data. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, you'll have some insights into how the future may be different. And this is the first iteration of what the Chamber has done to work towards providing a platform that allows people to connect differently. And so I'll run through this and hope that any of you that would like to participate and connect there will do so. We have some really neat functionality that's going to be added, I think this week. No, this is Friday. So if it hasn't happened this week, and like I said, I've been ill, so I haven't kept up on everything I probably should have, but hopefully next week it will be if it's not up yet. So this is the blockchain ecosystem.io platform. And what you see here is the diversification on one platform of features of multiple other platforms that you're probably already very familiar with. So obviously LinkedIn, you get those individual profiles for contributors. We have that, and we don't call them experts, we call them experienced contributors. So we love to have people connect and showcase themselves and their skills on the platform. There's a knowledge board on there, similar to Medium. We have a community level newswire where anyone in the community can recommend news. and that can be put up on the landing page. So if you think something's important for, you, your company, your country, shoot us a quick note. Say, hey, can you add this? And most likely we will, as long as it's a value add to the community. So anything that's harmful, obviously it's screened and not put up. But the site-wide activity feed is a really fun one, because if you have like a Twitter profile, you can link it, and when you tweet, it can also populate in the eco, and vice versa. So you can populate a comment in the eco, and it can go onto your Twitter page. So stuff like that is just a fun feature with interoperability with other current platforms. We also have an in-call feature, and you can get 6 minutes just chatting with any of the experts on the platform. And if you'd like to have a longer call, then it's something that can be paid for through the platform. So someone who's doing consulting work isn't worried, am I going to get that check? They automatically get paid through the platform. So the cool thing that we have coming is we're also going to have that opportunity with video conferencing. So I'm really excited about that, and that should be a lot of fun. The reward system we have is with Stellar. And so I don't know how many of you are familiar with Stellar, but it's probably around 7-ish cents right now. It's one of those super fast, super cheap to transact tokens, and it's one that we're platform and token agnostic at the chamber, but it fit the bill. We're actually planning on tokenizing the chamber and having them be equity tokens that we distribute to the members of the chamber. But that's something that we're waiting for regulatory clarity around so that we can continue. So we chose Stellar, and happy to have that be part of the reward system. So if you engage in any of the aspects of the platform, you can get rewarded. So if you suggest news, if you answer a question, those kinds of things all get rewarded. So very different from the other social media platforms where they basically ingest your data and sell it and sell to you, and you don't get rewarded. So we're happy to bring that feature. The e-newsletter and content marketing, we have that going out with the top news and some of the things that are happening in the community. There's group discussion, and one of the really cool things I'm really excited about is the community Q&A, because we're going to allow the community to respond to questions with a 30-second video clip. So just imagine, the thought leadership that I'm sure many of you engage in, say on LinkedIn, you're writing articles, you're, writing long responses to, questions or comments in LinkedIn. Well, this allows you just to click the video button, and you can just talk for 30 seconds and boom, that response, people see your face, they connect with you, and you get the opportunity to showcase yourself as a thought leader in that format. So also, we have a marketplace and partner profiles. That's an aspect that we haven't really developed out too much, but just like you can set up as an individual contributor, you can also set up a microsite for a company. And we're just starting to work on bringing that fully forward as well. So this is something that has been in progress over the past year, and something that I've been very passionate about bringing to the community, because I think it brings a massive value add, and it's the beginning of a step away from the way things have been done, where we haven't had presence in the web. And like I said, this is just an interim step, because you still have to use a username and password. And I believe the fourth industrial revolution is going to be without that, and you're truly going to own your own data. And so this is a wonderful thing to look forward to. And while we move in that direction, this is a platform that we've designed to help the community connect and be seen and visible. And so this is just a quick look at what it looks like. The rewards explanation. So, this is I'm not trying to pitch this, so I'm going to go through this quickly. I'm wanting you to be aware that this exists. So if it's a tool that's a value add for you or your organization, that you take advantage of it. And I am sweating. Yeah, so the thought leadership aspect of it that I mentioned, one of the cool things is the SEO boost that can come from this. If you have your microsite connected to your traditional site, it doesn't just give you one high quality backlink, it gives you dozens, because the back end, it's actually a patented portion of the platform. It was designed by a gentleman who worked for Google for a number of years, and it just makes you more visible more quickly. And here's evidence of it. You know, Joseph Michael Lubin, you can see that his eco profile is actually above his LinkedIn profile. So that kind of thing is it's hard to get done, and the eco can contribute towards that. So I'd love to have any of you contribute, join, connect with the community, and be showcased with the 12 verticals that we have there. And, you know, there's so many impact points for blockchain. The verticals that we've highlighted aren't totally inclusive, but we worked hard to really dial into the areas that had the biggest impact. And so you'll see, you know, energy, you'll see supply chain, fintech, you know, there's education, you know, big one, government. So these impact zones where blockchain is coming in and playing a role. That's how you can self-designate actually into those different verticals. You're connected with people that have similar interests or engagement points, and collaborate. So obviously there's a sponsorship opportunity. Once again, I'm not trying to sell this, but it's definitely something that I want you to be aware of. And this is what I'm really, really excited to share with you today, because we have a major diversification opportunity that is in front of us. And the web was not designed with us in mind. And there has never before been the opportunity for us to have true digital agency. And when I say agency, it's agent with a T and then CY, digital agent C. And I'll be explaining that term a little more as we go along. But I believe we're going to have a shift from the website silos where you type in your username and password and you get permissioned in, and then everybody click that little button that says you accept cookies. Yeah, that's tracking you, your activity, and then that's used to sell to you, right? You know, if a website's free, then yeah, you're the product. So thinking beyond the web and leading with identity and authentication of all people, places, and things is something that one of the members of the chamber has been working on for over, gosh, it's like a dozen years now. And I'll give you a quick introduction to Charlie Northrup. He is the guy who saw one of the first iterations of the web when it was just between universities. And he's like, that's going to be commercialized. And his buddy, who was a professor, I think at the University of Illinois, said no. He laughed at him, right? So Charlie goes home and he writes 10 patents that define e-commerce as we know it. And I actually got to sit at the table, excuse me, at the table with him a number of months ago. And pardon me. He was there with the gentleman who brokered the sale of his patent stack. And I was like, hey, Charlie, did we tell you about the email that we got from the winning broker? And he's like, no. He's like, oh, yeah, he forwarded us what he got when he was asking how much more he could bid. And Charlie's like, oh, what did it say? Like, well, it said whatever it takes. And it was signed Bill Gates. So I see Charlie and he's got this proud look on his face. And he's like, okay, wow. And then the next thing he said was, my current patent stack will dwarf that one. And I hope to share enough of it. And I know we're only have about 8 more minutes. But the patent stack that he has enables digital agency. And I think he's right. I think it will dwarf his previous patent stack that one of the most wealthy men in the world was willing to pay whatever it takes for. So this is Charlie Northrup with Neurosciences. And He's looking currently at a world in turmoil. And these are all of the pain points that his technology stack can address. We've all experienced this, right? I'm wondering if we're going to have, fair elections here in the United States in November. I know there's elections that are being done globally, and there's question marks. Are we going to be able to sufficiently social distance? Are we going to be able to have sufficiently secure ways to manage this democratic process? And it's a big question mark. Just the shortages, the supply chain interruptions, not knowing, we saw this with masks and tests. Are these authentic? Do they work? Are they coming from a production line that is actually meeting standards? And it's been challenging to be able to answer these questions. And Charlie's technology stack does. We've got so much change happening, autonomous vehicles, so many things that are going on. And, do we have in place what needs to be there for humans, for people to maintain their autonomy and, have interoperability? That's another, if that's not a buzzword, right? Interoperability is what everyone that's dealing with blockchains is going, okay, how do we create interoperability? There's no current structure globally in place that allows interoperability between, all blockchains or all digital data transfer. And I think we may be on the brink of having that available. So we definitely have pain points with the web. And I mentioned that a little bit earlier, where we don't have agency. We just permission ourselves into other people's space and are tracked on that. So we need to move outside of the web silos, and the point of presence, a software service, a security model, the tools and resources to facilitate operations and interactions. Some of these are built, some of them need to be built on top of a platform that can actually provide the solutions. And we have an opportunity with Charlie's tech stack to be able to do that. So it's Industry 4.0. It truly is the fourth industrial revolution, where we have an enablement of the ecosphere of things. And I've got 3 minutes. Imagine that you start out with and I say imagine, I don't have it right here with me, but the QR code that is multidimensional, can't just be photocopied and copied that way. It can be scanned with just a common cell phone camera, but that QR code can offer you a multi-key. Once you combine it with your own secret, that is 2 to the 512th times 2 to the 512th public-private key pairings. So those of you that know your math, that's more than the atoms in the known universe. It's as quantum proof as I've heard so far. I think it would take IBM's current quantum computer about 40 years to break one public-private key pairing. And what you can do in that 40 years with your multi-key would definitely protect you moving forward. But that's the starting point. But when it gets beautiful is when the digital agent that Charlie has coded out, it's over 500,000 lines of code currently, and it is a new way of doing AI. So it knows things, and it can understand nouns, verbs, and modifiers that are put into its vocabulary. And Charlie has coded the word learn, and he's coded the word consider, and even the word forget. And if you can imagine what that enables a digital agent to do, and to do it with a multi-key that is super secure, that allows you to have multiple key pairings that can be assigned to different aspects of your life. So you can imagine, just like a website has a variety of subdomains, your multi-key could insert you uniquely into your .gov, your .edu, your .pet or vet, your .social media, where you are maintaining control of your data, where the nodes that hold and store your data are uniquely yours. And it's just a different way of doing business that this technology enables. And I don't have the time to really go through all of this with you guys, but would love to have you reach out to me. I'm happy to make introductions to Charlie and other members of the chamber. Happy to help support anyone's growth in technology if they're interested in learning about emerging technologies that they haven't engaged with previously. It would be my pleasure to introduce you and to connect and to continue supporting the growth of women in technology. So thank you again for this opportunity, and happy to have had this chance to connect with you. And I'm sorry if I was a little glistening, but it's been my pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. And I think we wanted to give you an extra tank as well, since you were joining us with the fever. So thank you so much for such a great session.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I especially enjoyed the different stories that you told, and how diversity is important, and especially the stories from your travels really resonated with me. And I think
have you been to Davos?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I especially I think obviously introducing a lot of the technologies in the end was actually very helpful as well. And I think we all enjoyed them a lot. Thank you so much.
Happy to do so.
I fully agree with Annie on that one. And when I saw the picture of the beautiful Swiss Alps, it's like, hey, I believe that's in Davos, Switzerland. So thank you very much, Linda. And like Annie also said, especially you're having a fever at the moment, so we're extra thankful that you dedicate your time to share with us today. So take your rest, and we hope you feel better soon.
Appreciate it. Happy to have been here.